This opportunity. My contribution is going to be very short, but it's a story. Recently, I was giving bursaries to students, and while giving them, I also was giving them some inspirational talk. I told them that there are many opportunities they have in life for those who want to become doctors, those who want to become pilots, journalists, and all that. One student told us that he wanted to be a policeman. The entire crowd of students laughed.
The member coming in, go back to the bar and bow. Then you walk in. Okay.
Yes, my story continues. The lot of students who are there laughed at him when he said he wanted to be a policeman. And when I asked, why are you laughing? They say, oh, what a miserable job. Who can be a policeman really in this day and age? They laughed at him because they associated the position of a policeman as one of suffering, one where people are poorly paid, people are working under difficult circumstances, poor remuneration, they live in very poor and deplorable housing, and the entire story about policemen emerged during that time. The picture that came out was that nobody wants to become a policeman simply because of the suffering and the degradation of their lives that we are seeing today. I therefore support this bill because the whole world, the whole country knows that a policeman suffers psychologically. They even told me that how can you be a policeman when you carry a gun and you can kill yourself? So many have killed themselves, so many have committed suicide, so many have killed their children and their families because they are stressed, they are going under psychological trauma. And so the image of a policeman is so negative, is so bad. I will still recommend that a lot must be done for them as part of police reforms. We not only need to increase their salaries, but their living conditions are so shameful, is so bad, because they are just single rooms which are built with tins, and they are very old, and there's no water around. It is terrible, and I recommend also that wherever they are working, where they stay, even entertainment should be introduced. They should have some form of entertainment for them to relax after a hard day's work. They need to relax, chat, and play some games to make them feel that they are part and parcel of human life, because that is also part of therapy, is part of treatment. When they are going through stress after a hard day's work, they need to sit somewhere with each other, chat, and play some games, some darts around. They can play football, they can watch television or films. Let them have some comfort where they are working. So far, that is not even thought of. Policemen are not even promoted. They complain so much, and you can understand the situation under which they are going through. They are in the streets, controlling vehicles the whole day, in the rain and in the sun. Nobody gives a damn. And so I will support this bill because it is for the good of our security team, the police, that need to be sorted out so that psychologically they are made human. They feel like everybody else, they are on equal terms, and they are treated much better, and better than the way they are currently being treated. That way, they will serve us better. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Well said. Members, join me in welcoming and recognizing the presence of the students from St. Thomas Aquinas Chani Secondary School, Mkibwezi West, Makueni County. They are seated in the public gallery. You do that by stamping your feet. The member for Baringo, the Honorable Ecomas, is this your constituency? Or is in the general area? Give Ecomas 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, Chad is in the neighboring Kibwezi East constituency, but allow me on my own behalf and on behalf of the Honorable Jessica Mbalo, because Kibwezi constituency was once one and we remain the same people, to welcome the students of Chani to the House of Parliament where we debate, make laws, make policies, appropriate for their own learning and for the well-being of the people of Kenya. Karibuni sana bunge.
Thank you. Now for Baringo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and I also want to take this opportunity to support this amendment bill by my friend and colleague, Honorable Masara, on National Police Service Commission, which is on specifically on psychosocial support and mental health in our police force. Mr. Speaker, if you keenly listen to what members have contributed, you realize all of us are in agreement that we need a lot of attention given to our police force, specifically on the problems they go through every day. But if, on the other converse, you realize that I think everyone needs this mental support or psychosocial support, specifically people who work in government and people who give services, specifically public service. And for police, I want to specifically single out women police. It is so hard to be a policeman in Kenya. It's so much work to be and work as a policeman. You work day and night through shifts. Many times you don't have a lot of leave days. But being a woman police is actually the bigger challenge. And it is where you are put together in this accommodated housing, and you share rooms, share small houses together with your family. You have poor sanitation. The amenities within that place is very pathetic. If you visit them sometimes, because I have one relative that I've ever visited, and you realize they only share and they partition these rooms and houses using curtains. So whatever happens there, whether people are quarreling, whether people are fighting, or whatever thing my honorable colleague is telling me about conjugal rights, Honorable Betty Maina, and it is becoming a problem because this is a problem that all of us understand. And when you listen to policemen, much as they cannot tell you most of these problems, they always go through a lot. Mr. Speaker, every time you wake up at 5 a.m., if you are a early riser, you'll always find a policeman already on the road, pushing out jam and controlling. When you go when we go as members of parliament to high-end or dignitary events, policemen you will always find them already in the venue or in the place, and you will always leave them. And these are people who have decided, and they always dedicate themselves fully. This psychosocial support, as much as other departments also might need it, but singling out this police is that they are going to be of a very important to their day-to-day life. And again, I am also looking through the amendment. I don't think it's also going to be so good for us to put aside a small area where they'll be taken when they have problems or when they have these social mental issues. Because when you isolate them again, you generally give them, probably create more problems. But we will need to create an environment where it is equally, accommodative, so that when you have a problem, you are able to talk to your colleague or your this desk within the jurisdiction of your workplace, and also where you stay or where you live. And they are also taking care of their families, because when you are a policeman and you are transferred very far from your home or where you are not able to meet with your parents and like any other public service, it is also very important because police handle different situations, like dead bodies. You are just graduated from police, and the first instant is to be sent to areas where there is criminality, like you're handling bodies, probably in a morgue. You have never accident scenes where you are just asked to go and pick bodies Sometimes you find the people you are probably, these bodies is probably people you know, and you might not have to go somewhere else or get an opportunity to express the feelings you got through when you are handling these situations. And specifically for women police, if you look at the way they, when they change their uniforms, sometimes I don't know whether their regulations in terms of uniform is also considered, because sometimes policemen, if you check clearly, most of them don't even have, complete uniforms. And you find torn shoes, sometimes very torn clothes, and because it is uniform that they must do every day, those are things that might probably contribute to lack of confidence and lack of, giving themselves this ability to work indiscriminately. And that one causes issues like corruption. So that's why they go around and collect some few coins and fees around and rent taking, so that they can take care of the little remuneration they get through. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this is a very important bill, and it should not only stop at police, it should also stop in other departments of government, that is public service, so that we can have this as an ambience and good services given to people. The other day, I was very happy to see DIG and DIG, the IG, giving out flowers on the streets during Valentine's Day. It was a good gesture, that these are people who are part of us in the society, and we need to support them more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well said. Next on the board is the member for Busia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support fully this National Police Service Amendment Bill. I applaud the Honorable Member who has drafted it, Honorable Peter Masara. He has played with a full deck this time. Our policemen are the people we look up to for security and depend on them to solve things that many of us, be it the president to the village elder, things that if we were to face them ourselves, we would not even know how to begin. But what is gutting me is that the policemen suffer in silence. I think they have been trained to persevere, endure a lot of pain in silence. And yet we forget that they are human beings. It is a time in our country that we either sink or swim when we are amending any laws, so that we make something that can be viable, something that can work. You think if your son or daughter was in the same docket, how would you want them to be good in service? I would love to see that our policemen do not even lack those who work in hardship areas. They look or appear more vascular, thin, not because they are really fit. They are fit, yes, but it's because of problems. They lack resources. They lack everything. If you called a police, if there is an emergency, their vehicles even don't have fuel to begin with. So there is this perception that they are unavailable, they are unwilling, maybe they are waiting to be bribed so they can come. But the truth is, the vehicle might be there, but it doesn't have fuel. So they have to ask for fuel to come. And that must change, because I don't think anybody with passion, wherever they want to be or really yearned and fought to belong there, can want to just relax and see things go bad. These policemen, they lack this personal development. Looking fit or having been recruited because you are fit does not really mean that they are well trained to understand security issues and policy making, everything. We have various departments that the police, whether they like it or not, they find themselves on that desk. Gender desk, many other, counseling, guidance, and yet themselves, they need counseling. So the policemen need now and then to be trained, to be equipped every time, and those who perform well to be acknowledged, like celebrating them. We hardly celebrate our policemen. We are full of complaints here and there. Their salary, if you looked at the pay slip, they depend on loans, and if you looked at how they have been deducted, there is nothing on that pay slip. So how do you, when you are so stressed, how do you even handle any matter, and yet you are also stressed yourself? So we need to up our game on how we handle matters to do with security. A nation, any nation that is stable, the security department must be well beefed up, equipment-wise, and people who are knowledgeable, people who look also happy to do the job. Their salaries, allowances, hardship allowances, commuting allowances, they don't have. Many times when we are driving, maybe going to far places, like I went to Marsabit one time in Kajiado, the policemen, after their duty, they are on the road asking for a lift, for a ride, to be taken to where they stay. Meaning they do not have means after work. They survive most of the time. So we need to see the policemen actually being looked after, and when they go home, maybe after retirement, they must be taken care of as well until they die, celebrated well, like people who died on the line of duty, people who served and risked, endangered their lives because of taking care of their nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We have the member for Kitui West. She's in the house. Then you have the member for Kisii. Member for Kitui West. Member for Kisii, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support I support Honorable Masara for bringing this very important matter, because security is like food. When there is peace, the country is happy. After high school, Mr. Speaker, I visited my aunt, I will not say the place, whose husband was a police officer. I honestly didn't like where they sleep, because any activity which was happening at my auntie's place, any activity, you hear what I'm talking about, it could be heard in the neighborhood, Mr. Speaker. You have the children. Yeah, the kids are sleeping in that house. Then in the morning they're asking.
Honorable Buyer, what's out of order?
What's out of order? She didn't say much. She just said any activity.
Honorable Speaker, activities have names. And, this is a house where you put proper records, specificities, and, things that so please tell us, what are these activities that make police officers' homes not for people not be able to sleep? Please.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
the honorable member has a choice of words to use, and she's already said she didn't like the situation. So I think it makes it even worse if you're going to ask a member to go on and start describing what she calls activity. But Honorable Donya, you have the choice to proceed to argue your case the way you like it best.
Honorable Bayer doesn't know that Donya says, as it is, conjugal rights. Is that okay with you? Because they are not, no one says that they are not supposed to do it. It's an activity. Yeah. So thank you very much. That's my cup of coffee. So, today, anyway, Mr. Speaker, you can imagine kids are
The member walking to the chair, that is not your place to walk in, because there's a member speaking. You should never be between a member and the speaker. Would you please just go back and walk behind her?
Or bend.
Thank you. But it's like he's seated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was explaining that children are like a magnet. They tap everything. Why are you interrupting when I'm putting a very good message for our police officers? Now, Mr. Speaker, if we could even improve where they stay. We have the affordable housing. If we pass this over to the police officers, because, Mr. Speaker, you can imagine a police officer whose maybe wife is in the village, you are staying with a police officer whose wife is with them, and their atmosphere is not pleasing. That in itself, because we are talking of psychology and mental, that in itself, Mr. Speaker, is total torture, or someone who has been divorced. Another part, when they die, you will find that they've been sent about 50 police officers to come and send off their colleague. But they even don't have a good contribution to make to the family. That dictates how horrible, how they wallow in abject poverty, Mr. Speaker. I even wanted to be a police officer, by the way, when I was in class 7, before I realized my dream of becoming a journalist. Until that time I visited my aunt, I said, no, I don't think if I can cope up. So we are really sorry for their state, but we thank Honorable Masara for this motion, and I hope, Bill, this time round something will be done. Let us not speak, we debate, but we have some news like in 2 months' time or the next budget. Parliament has allocated this and this amount of money for this activity. People will applaud what we are doing. We only don't talk, but we also actualize our moves. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No, there's nothing. Don't know what Tiende, you are senior, you know the rules. She's just completed her contribution. There's nothing out of order. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, you know, you are allowed to intervene even on behalf of your neighbors, like my neighbor, the Honorable C0MPLAIN. Mr. Speaker, you made a correct ruling that a member should not come in between the Speaker and the member contributing. But Mr. Speaker, Honorable C0MPLAIN does not gain sufficient elevation to block you from the person speaking. Can he be exempt from that particular standing order? Thank you.
The Honorable Dipo has his mouth. The Honorable Dipo has his mouth and his legs. I'm sure he can speak for himself and work for himself. The Honorable Adipo.
Mr. Speaker, sir,
do you confirm that you are seeking exemption?
This is what I wanted to comment on, that the honorable member here is totally out of order himself, because there is no standing order upon which he can make such statement.
The member for Kisi, what the Honorable?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker,
Mayaka.
I don't think the Honorable, my senior Otende, is in order. You cannot define a man's elevation and height. He does not have knowledge of that. So he's completely out of order for trying to define the elevation and the height of a man. You can't do that, not as a man.
Of course, the Honorable Mayaka should know better than Otiende. Because the Honorable Mayaka should know better than Otiende in this kind of matter. The Honorable Otiende, you have no experience on this kind of matters. You are free to consult the Honorable Mayaka so that you get to know about elevations and this The member for Nandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to support this amendment to this bill, and I appreciate the Honorable Member, Honorable Masara, for having gone through this bill and having been able to accurately flag the inadequacies that are in this bill. Honorable Speaker, the mental health has been an issue that all of us are concerned about. We have been concerned for a very long time, and I am glad that we are finally making the right decisions and actually doing what needs to be done for us to be able to sort it out. Honorable Speaker, the fact that this one has been anchored in law with the hope that the honorable members of this House are going to pass this amendment to this bill, we are then going to have a structured way and manner that we are going to deal with mental health issues, especially in the police force. And Honorable Speaker, we must also appreciate the kind of work that the police force does in this country. It does the job that all of us cannot do. They handle the cases and the situations that all of us do not have the capacity to actually handle. And it is only fair that we have or we give them a platform where they can be able to deal with the issues and the things that they have had to deal with, the things that are very difficult and hard, Honorable Speaker. Members have spoken to the kind of situations that the police are called to sort, issues to do with dead bodies, issues to do with rotten bodies, issues to do with domestic violence, issues to do with robbery, very obscene situations, Honorable Speaker, and these people are able to handle them. And I'm happy today, Honorable Speaker, that we are going to put this in law, and we want to ask the people who are tasked with the responsibility of doing the implementation. Because, Honorable Speaker, it is one thing to have a very progressive provision in terms of how to sort out a situation. It is another thing also to have the implementing authorities do exactly that, then we can be able to reap or be able to get the results that we desire. Honorable Speaker, it must also be noted that every 100 shillings invested on the well-being of an employee will be able to give that particular institution a profit, so to speak, Honorable Speaker, of not less than between 300 shillings and 500 shillings, Honorable Speaker. And these can never be an investment in vain, Honorable Speaker. Again, Honorable Speaker, we must be able to relate the mental health of an institution and its employees, or the employees of an institution, and the output, Honorable Speaker. When you go to an institution, Honorable Speaker, or a business that pays attention to the mental wellness of their employees, they have a very low desertion rates, Honorable Speaker. The productivity in that particular institution or business, Honorable Speaker, is very high because they are paying attention to the mental wellness of their people. Honorable Speaker, I stand here today a very sad person because last night it came to my attention that more than 4 employees of an institution, a very good institution in this country, are actually in a rehabilitation center. Why? Because the working conditions in that entity are wanting. And Honorable Speaker, allow me to shame the management of that institution, which is actually KCC, that how do you sit as a management? How do you sit as a leadership and watch your employees, all of them, Honorable Speaker, and they end up in a rehabilitation center because of mental issues, because of the difficulties of their working environment? So, Honorable Speaker, this is despicable, and we must all rise up to the occasion that if we have a leadership position, we must endeavor to make sure that the working environment, Honorable Speaker, is safe and it can ensure that we have productivity. And Honorable Speaker, this matter must be taken seriously, because if we don't pay attention to this, we will be needed to build more rehabilitation centers. And I agree and I support, Honorable Speaker, the notion that we better prevent it than be able to cure it, because first, we do not have the capacity or adequate capacity to be able to cure mental illness, Honorable Speaker. So it is better for us to do prevention, and I think this bill coming to this House today is a very good indicator that we are now walking the talk of we have to deal with mental issues, Honorable Speaker. So I support this particular amendment on mental health, and I support also the amendment that has been made to the Commission and its functions, Honorable Speaker, so that they have more functions, so that they can be able to sort out more problems that are facing our police forces. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, we appreciate the kind of work that the disciplined forces in this country do. We really appreciate them for it. Probably we've not been able to show the appreciation, Honorable Speaker, with material things, but they should know that we actually appreciate it. And going into the future, Honorable Speaker, we must be able to ensure that they feel appreciated even with material things as they handle this very tough job that they have as policemen, Honorable Speaker. I support this amendment, and I urge the Honorable House to be able to support it as well. Thank you.
Correct. Member for Narok North. Member for Narok North, you want to speak on this matter? The Honorable Pareyo, you request to speak on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this amendment by Honorable Peter Musara. Police are a very important unit
in this country. And the work they do, I think it's the work that we all need to appreciate. And we need to look into their salaries, because there is no way we can support them if we don't give them money that is enough to take care of their families. When you look at the police that are taking care of the banks, when we need, when exams are there, they are the first people to be there. But this situation they live in, Mr. Speaker, have changed them and